She had seen this sword before. But where? Where had she met him? Ah, a soft moan escaped Precipice's lips as she tried to recall her memories. Severe pain shot through her head. It was as if hundreds, or even thousands, of needles were piercing her skull at once. She put the sword down and held her head, panting heavily in pain. When you think about it, it's always been that way. Whenever she tried to recall her past, her memory became blurry, as if a thick fog was shrouding her mind. This happened when I tried to remember Vanessa's will. This also happened at the beginning of the incarnation. Also when she tried to remember how she lost her notebook in the Forbidden Forest. As if someone was deliberately preventing her from remembering. But she no longer wanted to back down. She did not want to retreat without any guide to guide her, as before. In addition, this time the situation is different. What she currently saw in front of her was something she knew very well. Her trembling hand grabbed the small sword the size of her forearm. A sword studded with a large number of small precious stones and 4 large jewels of light turquoise color. True, it looks like a decorative sword only, but... Vanessa's voice, low and deep, whispered in her ear. Ah, now she started to remember little by little. This sword was little Precipice's gift from Vanessa on her birthday during her pre-incarnation instruction period. Most likely, it was Nidhogg who introduced him to Vanessa. Vanessa, who was just a poor girl from a destitute village, could not have such a luxurious sword. Eventually, the learning period will end, and when the main game starts, I won't be able to do anything of my own free will. What use is a sword like this then? She remembered whispering that to herself as she complained. She thought she would never use it in her life. Dietrich, until that day came, when she and Dietrich escaped from the imperial palace. This was in the illustration she saw in the tower, during her education period. 2 small hands holding each other tightly. Yes, that was today. Because it was the first time they had escaped without even a single knight guarding them, they felt a little afraid. Just in case, they decided to take something with them to protect themselves. When Presepe saw Dietrich taking the training sword, she remembered her sword and took it too. That's right. I got lost alone. When she broke up with Dietrich, a gap appeared. The emergence of this gap means that she is now able to move and act at her own will. Little Presepe got lost in the crowded roads for a long time, until she came to a deserted alley. There, a boy was being brutally beaten, and behind him a girl was sitting collapsed on the ground and crying with great sadness. If he stays like this, he will really die. Even though that was what she thought, Presepe could not approach them easily. It wasn't just fear, but because she couldn't anticipate the consequences. What happened was not part of the game. What if you intervene and something unexpected happens? I'll pretend I didn't see anything. However, these are also just secondary characters within the game. They're not real, however, Presepe couldn't get past them. The boy's condition was miserable. His clothes are more like rags than clothes. His face was swollen as if he was going to explode. His whole body is covered in blood. Even if this is just a game, this is too much. As I grabbed his hand and lifted him off the ground, I felt remorse. She had to help him immediately, without hesitation. You didn't know when the real play would start. She knew exactly how tough Presepe inside the cage would be. Yes, quite simply, she wanted to help him. But no more time could be wasted. It was clear that Dietrich was looking for her. If this break lasts longer, it is impossible to predict what might happen. But she couldn't. If she hadn't remembered what she had put in her bag, she would have been gone already. I'll give you this too. This is a sword my mother gave me before. I brought it with me as a self-defense tool, at the request of one of my companions. But I don't know how to use it anyway, and there's probably no point in having it with me. Still, is it reasonable for you to give me something like this? Yes. Because I don't know what might happen to me anymore. She said this with a weak smile, lacking strength. But I will try to hold on, despite everything. Then she started whispering words that the boy could not easily understand. So, you also try to hold on. You are the first person in this place that I speak to with all my will. Until now, I wasn't even opening my mouth. I was afraid I would do something wrong that would lead to results I couldn't imagine. What? I don't know who you are, and what I'm doing now may be the cause of this world's failure, but you're the first. Just for that, I hope you are well. If I live well and persevere, perhaps I too can succeed. She was fully aware that the game was full of bugs. Therefore, she decided not to do anything that was not consistent with the course of the story. Indeed, since Presepe took on the character of the game, she has never left the course of events. Except for one time, when she took her own life. Even in the previous episodes, she never took the initiative to do anything unexpected. However, she extended her hand to the boy. She wished him to live a good life and not be miserable. Because she felt that if he was okay, she would be able to survive well. This sword may only be something that can be sold for a little money, but, if you use it in combat instead of selling it, a lot might change. Everything depends on your choice. Do not give me charity. I will return the favor someday. As she said this, her head pain completely disappeared. Rather, the memories began to become clearly clear to her. The boy who was staring at her tensely and angrily, bursting with rage, that young face of Fenric. Good. I will wait until you return to me to repay your debt. I also remembered her calm answer at that time. This is my wish. To enjoy this festival with you, Mrs. You may not remember, but it is my dream that I have always wanted to achieve. I now understand why he said it was his wish. Because their first meeting was on the day of that festival. Who knows? It may be an unforgettable memory for you, but for someone else, it may be a precious memory that remains engraved in the heart forever. She alone forgot, but the Duke kept remembering her. Principal, you are someone dear to me. This fact has never changed. For me. He kept her in his heart, her memory, and the current version of her as well. Ever since she took on a character in this game, she felt completely alone. Even with the suffering she went through, there was no one to acknowledge or feel for her. And the characters around her only remembered Presepe, the heroine of the game The Cage Story. And not her, the real soul trapped in Presepe's body. But Fenric wasn't like that. He was the first and last person to willingly form a relationship with her within this game, and he still remembers that relationship clearly today. Even when she forgot her, he hasn't changed. And maybe that's why she couldn't stop her tears from falling. But when did this all start? Why did the Duke appear in this particular episode? Why did he never appear in previous episodes? At a moment when Presepe was lost in thought, a dark shadow stretched over her face. Mrs. Then low whispers were heard. Why are you crying? When she finally raised her head, she saw Fenric's face looking at her calmly, with a tense expression that did not resemble him at all.